Joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman from the state of California, Katie Porter. Congresswoman, if you and I had $1 every time we talked about the gender pay gap, we could put all of our children through private colleges in a blink. How can we realistically address this and create a new normal? Not an idealistic one, realistically. What can we do?
We need to be making our voices heard and asking the president to do what he, excuse me, that's my first sneeze on air. I apologize. We need to be asking the president to do what he promised, which is to make childcare and investing in women a priority. That's what he promised, and now he needs to deliver. What we've seen in part one of this infrastructure package, which they're calling the jobs package, a title that I don't like, is a focus on, frankly, jobs that are predominantly male, and the good-paying jobs in that package are predominantly male. Construction, engineering, transit, all of those jobs. What happened to the investment in childcare? What happened to the investment in paid family leave? What happened to those things? They're coming in part two, which they're calling the families plan. But to be clear, if women don't have childcare, parents don't have childcare, they can't go to work, just as much as a worker who can't go to work if they don't have a road.
What makes you think that's not going to happen? These child care centers are essential, and they're not just for kids ages 0 to 5. We need to figure this out for kids from 0 to 18, because there are virtually no high-paying jobs that align with a school schedule 9 months out of the year.
Yeah, and you and I both know that we don't want to leave our boys alone at home. Because bad things happen when we do that. So I
won't be able to afford my groceries.
Exactly. So I think part of it is to really understand that this is a little different than the repair the roads. This is something we have never done well in the United States. This is the major difference. When you look at our economy and the economy of other countries around the world, this is the single major place the United States has never delivered for the American people. And that's how we need to talk about it. Childcare is not something we do for parents. It's not something we do for women. It is not something we do for children. Stephanie, it's something we do for our economy just as much as investing in broadband or investing in bridges or investing in engineering or manufacturing. That's what childcare is. So the goal here isn't to return to, quote, normal. The goal here is to make the investment that is 50 or 60 years overdue in our economy, which means making sure that everyone, regardless of whether they're a parent, regardless of whether they're a man or woman, can go to work hard, thrive, and succeed. That's an economic issue.
Then since we've needed to do this for 50 or 60 years, I would never say the pandemic is an opportunity. But is there a silver lining here? Then what it has exposed gives us a reason and potentially a budget with this infrastructure plan to actually do something about a problem that existed for years.
There's absolutely an opportunity here with this infrastructure package. And we have a president in Joe Biden who ran on the concept of child care as infrastructure, the care economy as a thing. It's a great opportunity, but now he needs to make it happen. And by putting it in the second plan, I'm afraid there's a suggestion that the things in the first plan are, quote, about jobs, and the things in the second plan are, quote, about families. That's the White House's own terminology. I would have liked to see childcare be in this first plan, but I'm eager to see it come out. And when it comes out, we have to make sure that it doesn't occupy a second-class policy position. This is a top priority, just like infrastructure, just like roads. Childcare is infrastructure, period, full stop. We've got to make the investment. Women are participating in the workforce at the lowest level since 1988, since I was in 8th grade. That is going to hold back our economic recovery. So if you care about our economy, if you're a CEO, if you're a parent, a grandparent, someone who's never had kids and never wants them, and I wouldn't blame you at this point in the pandemic, you still need to be speaking up and supporting childcare investment.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.